Hello there. I'm Danny, and I will tell you a little about my own experiences with my mother-in-law. First of all, I feel I must mention that I'm using fake names. Our story is a little unique so that there is a possibility of us getting recognized. I'm getting old, and too much attention in person overwhelms me, so I would like my identity to be a secret. Now, let me just start off by saying that my mother-in-law, Gwen, never liked me. She did love her son Elliot, but that was until he got me pregnant while we were in college. Elliot and I were careful, but sometimes fate has different plans in mind. I had our daughter Sarah when me and Elliot were 19. We were both in college, and the baby did disrupt our lives a bit, but we loved her wholeheartedly and decided to get married before she was born. My family was pretty supportive and tried their best to be good grandparents, but my mother-in-law was not on board at all. She used to regularly shame and berate us for the pregnancy. She would particularly target me and say stuff like, "I can't believe my son ruined his life for you and your stupid child." "Mom, why are you saying that? This child is still a blessing to us. And stop telling us that our daughter has ruined everything." "What? I am right, and you know it. Danny, you should be freaking ashamed of yourself for getting pregnant early. I bet you wanted to trap my son since he had a bright future ahead. That cursed child has ruined everything." "Gwen, it's not like that. None of us planned this. You were being extremely unreasonable. You can say whatever you want to us, but please leave my innocent daughter out of this." I had noticed early on that Gwen had a horrible attitude towards my daughter Sarah as well. Initially, we thought that she needed time to adjust to the sudden changes in her life. She was a busy woman who was a high school teacher in her town. The pregnancy and marriage did place her in an uncomfortable position, and she resented us for it. At first, her insults were only directed at me and Sarah, but when Elliot started to stand up for us, she turned on him too. Elliot and I somehow completed our college education with a lot of help from my family. His mom remained passive and wouldn't even want to see us. Still, we wanted our daughter to have a relationship with her, so we kept low contact. The years went by and we settled down in Gwen's town. Me and my husband were both working and taking good care of our daughter. Gwen stopped being outright mean to us and tried to be civil around Sarah. Sarah could sense her coldness but still wanted her grandma in her life. When Sarah was 17, we had to move in with Gwen to take care of her after she got into a bad accident. That was mistake number one. She was acting very nice towards us, and we thought the relationship could be mended. She was also the principal of my daughter's school, so they remained in regular contact. But what we didn't realize was that this was just a way for Gwen to use us and discard us when she was back to being healthy. A week after Gwen was nursed back to health and joined her school, she did something terrible. When Sarah came back from school, she was crying her eyes out. When I asked what was going on, she said, "Grandma has kicked me out of school. She called me today and told me that my decision was final. She made up some shit excuse about me bullying a student. I didn't even know that girl." "What? Mom did that to you? This is unbelievable. Why the hell would she do that?" "I don't know, Dad. I didn't even know what to do. It's only a few months till my graduation. How will I complete my education now?" I was in shock and didn't know what to say. I was fuming inside and knew that Gwen had intentionally kicked my daughter out. Elliot and I comforted Sarah while we waited for Gwen to come home. As soon as she came home, I absolutely tore into her. "What the hell is wrong with you, Gwen? Why would you kick my daughter out of school?" "I don't want to talk to you, Danny. I suggest you keep your voice down in my house." "Mom, you really need to explain what is going on. You told Sarah that she has been bullying someone, but we know nothing about this. You simply kicked her out like nothing. Did you even investigate, or is this a lie?" Gwen gave us the most disgusting smirk that proved that she was lying. Elliot and I couldn't believe it. Sarah looked at Gwen in shock and started to cry again. Seeing her cry made me mad again. I shouted at Gwen and said, "How dare you do this to your own granddaughter, Gwen? What the hell is wrong with you?" "Nothing is wrong with me, Danny. I run a prestigious school with a good name. I don't want imbeciles like Sarah to graduate from such a big establishment. It will spoil my school's reputation. I can't allow that to happen." "Mom, are you freaking kidding me? That is your granddaughter you're talking about. How can you be so vile towards your own blood?" "Oh, please. Sarah should know that no one wants her. She was an accident, and we all had to just suck it up and take care of her. She will amount to nothing, just like her mother and you. I'm doing her a favor by kicking her out. She should go to some cheap public school where no one would have any expectations of her." Gwen laughed when she said that. I was too angry to even respond to that. I held my daughter as she cried into my arms. She was hurting from Gwen's vile words, but refused to go to her room. I guess she wanted to see just how much her grandma despised her. Meanwhile, Elliot was raging at his mom. He said, "I cannot freaking believe this. You are destroying your own granddaughter's life over nothing. What is wrong with you, Mom? Why are you being like this?" "Nothing is wrong with me. You always knew how I felt about your stupid child. I don't know why you expected anything else. If you have a problem with my thinking, you can leave my house." "What? You want to kick us out now?" "Mom, we literally moved in to help you recover. We did so much for you because you begged for our help. We looked past our hurt and tried to be there for you, and now you are kicking us out?" "Well, as you can see, I am fit and fine. I don't need you and your filthy family in my precious house. In fact, I would prefer it if you don't ever contact me again after moving out. I never wanted a relationship with you anyway. Maybe it's time I finally cut you loose. I expect you to empty my house as soon as possible. Don't make me evict you." Gwen said that and went to her room. Elliot and I sat there in shock while comforting a traumatized Sarah. We didn't know what to do or say. We then realized that all this while Gwen had kept in touch with us because she needed something from us. Sometimes it was money, but other times were like this when she needed assistance due to health problems. We were deluding ourselves into thinking that she wanted to have any kind of civil relationship with us. Now that she had some power over us, she decided to show us our place. We didn't wait for a month to move out. I contacted my parents 2 towns over and moved in with them in a week. We also enrolled Sarah into a new school there, but sadly, she had to lose a year. My poor daughter was in shock, and we got her therapy to deal with what happened. It took us time, but we finally moved past what happened. But we never forgot what Gwen did to us. After that incident, 12 years passed. Sarah completed school and left for college. Meanwhile, my parents passed away and left us a huge inheritance. We used that inheritance money to build a life for our child. Elliot and I invested that money into a big hospital and soon got a place as members of the board. We kept working our jobs as well as looking after the hospital up until Sarah took over for us. Now we are enjoying our retirement while Sarah has taken full control over everything. We hadn't heard from Gwen in these 12 years, and neither did we care to reach out. But one day Sarah came to visit us and said, "Mom, Dad, I saw Gwen today at the hospital. I was there for work and I bumped into her. It was a rather interesting meeting." "Really? What happened, Sarah? Did she talk to you?" "Oh, she had a lot to say. I was pretty surprised, too." "What the hell did she want from you now? She clearly said that she didn't want to hear from us again. You shouldn't have entertained her." "I was turning around to leave, but she caught me. She was a little desperate to talk, actually." Elliot and I were both curious to know what went down. Sarah told us the entire story and surprised us. She said that the moment she spotted Gwen, she started to walk away. But Gwen called out to her and physically stopped her from leaving. Sarah didn't want to make a scene, so she let her talk. Gwen said, "Oh my God, my sweet granddaughter Sarah, it's so good that you're here. Your grandmother is sick, my dear. I'm sorry to hear that, Gwen. I hope you get better soon. I'm your grandmother, Sarah. Why are you calling me by my name? I'm Granny to you. Now, it was time for Sarah to act a little cold. She was already pissed to see Gwen pretend to be a loving grandma to her. Sarah is smart enough to know that it's all fake. She was being nice to her for something, and Sarah had an idea what it might be. She gave Gwen her most nonchalant look and said, "We're not that close, Gwen. I don't see why I need to call you by anything other than your name." But I'm your grandmother, Sarah. This is the first time we've talked or seen each other in 12 years. I don't see why I should call you Grandma just for the sake of it. Now it was Gwen's turn to look shocked. Her imbecile granddaughter had revealed her true face in front of everyone there. There were people around, and Gwen had thought that she would be able to coerce Sarah into accepting her. But her plan backfired, and everyone knew that they didn't have a relationship at all. Sadly for Gwen, things were about to be much worse. She tried to backpedal and said, "Oh dear, you must be mad at me because I couldn't contact you as much. What can I say? I'm a poor old lady who can't do much. That doesn't mean I don't love my granddaughter." You are indeed old if you have already forgotten what happened in the past. You do remember that it was your choice not to be in contact with me, right? What? No, it's not like that. Why would I not want to be in my granddaughter's life? I remember you saying that you don't want imbeciles in your school and in your life. Am I right, Gwen? Does that refresh your memory a bit? Gwen was now sweating despite it being a little chilly in the hospital. She looked uncomfortable as the medical staff looked on curiously. She had nowhere to hide, and she had nothing convincing to say in her defense. She faked a laugh and said, "Oh, Sarah, that was a long time ago. You were a naughty child, and I may have said something out of anger. How can you hold that grudge even now? Your poor old grandma is here for you." I don't see how someone would throw me out of her school and go no contact in anger. Anyway, this conversation was rather enlightening. I'm busy with work, being a board member and all. Time to say goodbye. No, wait, Sarah, please talk to me. Gwen tried to stop Sarah as she casually strolled through the hospital and disappeared somewhere. When I heard this story, I was shaking with laughter. No, I didn't feel an ounce of pity for Gwen, and neither did my husband. Elliot knew how unsupportive and cruel his mother was. He couldn't come to her defense in his right conscience. She did behave cruelly towards his own daughter after all. Now, Sarah and Elliot may have thought that this was it. They had thought that this would be the last encounter my daughter would have with his mom. Well, I knew that the drama was far from being over, and I was right. About a week after this incident, Gwen showed up at our doorstep bright and early in the morning. It was a weekend, and she knew that Sarah would be home. Since Sarah and her husband joined us for a family day every week, they were home as well. I don't know how, but she knew that. I guess she did have her ways even after all these years. She was at my front door looking nervous but also resolute. I looked at her and said, My, who do we have here? Gwen, are you sure you have the right house? Last time I checked, you wanted nothing to do with us. I have come to see my son and granddaughter. This has nothing to do with you. Are they home? You wouldn't be here if you didn't know that they are home. You don't have to pretend in front of me, Gwen. I know you very well. Well, if they are home, I would like to talk to them. I need to see my family and don't need to talk to you. Oh, we will see about that. I'm not sure you are their family anymore, but come on in anyway. I invited Gwen in just for the fun of it. What? I wasn't going to just turn her away and let her keep harassing my child elsewhere. When she came inside, everyone was shocked to see her. My husband said, Mom, what are you doing here? Hi, Elliot. It's been so long since we met. Are you not happy to see your mother? No, I can't say I am all that happy to see you here. What do you want? My husband cut straight to the point and didn't beat around the bush. His response shocked Gwen again and made her more uncomfortable. Sarah and her husband just sat there looking stern. She didn't even introduce her husband to her. Gwen sat on the couch awkwardly and said, "Well, I'm happy to see all of you. I've missed my family and wanted to drop by." "We all know how untrue that is, Gwen. Why don't you just do us a favor and cut to the chase? Like Elliot said, what do you want?" "Wow, you don't have to be so rude, Danny. Even though we never had a good relationship, I expected you to be civil since I am your daughter's grandma." "I think we have already established the fact that we have no relationship, Gwen. I don't know why you still keep calling yourself that." At this point, Gwen finally understood that there was indeed no good in beating around the bush. No one was ready to entertain her or buy her bullshit. So she looked down and said, "I was hoping we could have a relationship, Sarah. I'm getting old and I want my family around." "Oh, really, Mom? What softened your heart? I'm very interested in listening to your reasoning." "Come on, Elliot. Your mother is old and destitute. The least you can do is talk to me nicely. I want a relationship with my granddaughter. Is it too much to ask?" "Yes, it is too much to ask. I have no idea why you would want a relationship with me after all these years. Kind of suspicious that you suddenly remembered your family when you were in poor health." Gwen took that and ran with it without waiting to understand its meaning. She thought that this was her chance to lay her cards on the table. She wasn't here for a relationship, and we all know that. The real reason she was in my house came tumbling out of her nasty mouth. She said, "I'm glad you noticed that, Sarah. It's true that your grandma is in poor health. I've been having some bad health problems. It's just starting to add up." "And what do you expect me to do with that information?" "Well, I was hoping that since I am your grandma, you could help me get treatment at your hospital." "How the hell will I help you with that? You just need to walk in and get the treatment you require. It's not that difficult." "I know, but this is a big hospital and the cost of treatments is very high. I may have run a school once, but I'm out of work now. My retirement funds are not enough to pay for treatment and keep me afloat." "Again, how is this any of my concern?" "I was really hoping you could lower some of the treatment costs for me. You are a board member after all. I know you will be able to give me discounts and stuff like that. It would be really helpful." Gwen could be so predictable at times. I did see this coming from miles away. She can hold a grudge if she wants to, so the change of heart was almost impossible. I knew that she was after something that concerned my daughter. Guess what, guys? I was right. However, Elliot and Sarah looked both shocked and offended. Sarah particularly looked furious. She said, "You must be crazy if you think I will help you with that." But you are a board member there. I'm sure you have a lot of power. Even if you can't do much, you can maybe help me with some funds." "Why the hell would I do that, Gwen?" "What do you mean, why? You are my granddaughter. I'm your family. You need to take care of your family." Now that got Sarah really, really mad. Let me tell you something. My daughter is a sweetheart to everyone, but she has a low tolerance for bullshit. She clearly remembered what happened in her teen years and couldn't let go of what Gwen did to her. She had almost ruined my daughter's life and career. There was no way she would allow Gwen to emotionally manipulate her now. Sarah absolutely raged at Gwen and said, "For the last freaking time, Gwen, I am not your family. You are nothing to me. How dare you ask for favors from someone you tried to ruin? Do you think I have forgotten everything?" "Sweetheart, that is in the past. I swear I've changed. I'm not like that anymore. I'm so proud to see you come this far in life." "Stop right there, Gwen. My success has nothing to do with you. It was mine and my parents' hard work that got me here. You don't get to come here and suddenly claim we are family, just so you can make me pay your hospital bills." Gwen looked like she had been slapped. She hadn't expected my daughter to react so badly. She started to cry and looked at Elliot for help. She put on her saddest voice and said, "Elliot, look at the way your daughter's speaking to me. Is that the way someone speaks to their grandma? Haven't you taught her anything?" Oh, I've taught her plenty, Mom. I have taught her to stand up for herself when required, and I have taught her that just because someone had her blood in their veins, that doesn't mean they are family. Elliot, how can you talk to me like that? I'm your mother. Oh, please, Mom, you don't deserve to be called a mother. You threw your whole family out when we needed you. Nothing we did was good enough for you. You have absolutely no right to ask anything of us now. Elliot, look, I know I made a mistake, but it's been years. Don't hold that against me in my difficult time. I really need your help. I cannot pay for my treatment out of my own pocket. Well, that's too bad, Mom. I guess you should have thought about that before you kicked my daughter out of school and told us to leave your house. These 12 years have taught all of us a lot. And the most important part was the lesson that you are not to be trusted. You can do what you want. We will not help you. Gwen was even more shocked when her son refused to stand up for her. She was now straight up bawling while begging both Sarah and Elliot for help. When they stopped engaging with her and kept quiet, she turned to me. She looked at me with tears in her eyes and pleaded, Danny, please help me out. You are a mother, so you should know a mother's pain. You have to understand what I'm feeling right now. Oh, hell no, Gwen. Don't freaking compare yourself to me. I stuck by my daughter through thick and thin. Meanwhile, you abandoned your whole family for your ego. But I do know that all of this is a show for us. You feel nothing for us. Danny, you are wrong. Believe me, I'm filled with regrets. I should have reached out sooner, but I was stubborn. Please, just forgive me this time. I know that Sarah and Elliot will forgive me if you do. Don't push me away, Danny. I beg you. I think you're a little too late, Gwen. You should have reached out sooner and tried to make amends. Maybe we would have responded, but you have already burnt every bridge between us. There is nothing left anymore. You are not family, and I would really appreciate it if you leave right now and do not disturb us anymore. Gwen kept crying and begging for a second chance while none of us paid her any attention. She literally kept begging and pleading with us, saying that she was no one now. We simply said, tough luck, and told her to get out. After telling her several times to leave, we threatened to call the cops and get her removed. That got her to leave, but she kept crying all the way to the door. As she was gone, we all had a sense of relief to have a toxic woman out of our house. Do you think that one visit stopped Gwen from trying again? Of course not, guys. My little entitled mother-in-law is not that easy. She kept trying to talk to Sarah whenever she was at the hospital for work. She even came by our house several times, but we were smart enough not to let her in again. We even called the cops on her once when she refused to leave even after 3 hours. The cops drilled some sense into her and got her to leave us alone. She then turned up at Sarah's place and even tried to involve her husband. Sarah's husband is a tough guy who doesn't like what Gwen did to his wife. So Gwen got another earful when she tried to take him on her side. After trying for a few months, Gwen finally gave up. I think her health problems were a contributing factor, but who knows? I don't keep tabs on her anymore. We did get a call from her sister who told us that Gwen moved to their city for treatment. Gwen's sister also didn't help her because of certain things Gwen did to her in the past. Last I heard, she was in a ton of debt from her medical fees and had to sell her house to cope. She still isn't doing well, but we don't care anymore. We informed her sister that we didn't want any more information on Gwen, and she understood. Sarah has recently had a child, and I have become a grandma. Looking after my granddaughter just gave me even more clarity on how badly Gwen had treated Sarah. I am happy she's out of our lives and won't be back to disturb us again.